Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Salary Negotiation Masterclass Beyond the Basics. I'm Gemma, your host and career coach, and over the years, I've worked with countless professionals, helping them navigate the complex world of salary negotiations. Now, one thing I've learned is the critical importance of knowing your worth and having the confidence to negotiate it effectively. When I graduated college in 2008, the job market was hot. Just kidding. If you know, you know. The job market was an absolute shit show, pretty similar to what we're experiencing right now in 2024. And my bright eyed, bushy tailed dreams of going to college and finding a corporate job that was going to pay me handsomely and start my decades long career of upward mobility, just checking all the boxes that I was supposed to. Yeah, those dreams were quickly shattered when reality came in real hot, and I was instead starting my job the next day after graduating college. Like, this is not a lie. I literally got a new job and I started that Monday after graduation, and I was making $15 an hour, which I was very excited about that. Like, that was the most money that I had ever made, was $15 an hour. And my fancy job title, I was a bill collector. Yes, you heard that right. I was a bill collector, calling random strangers across the country on an auto dialer, getting yelled at, cursed at, threatened for 8 hours a day. Dream job? Not exactly. You would think that from hearing the words that I just said that I didn't stay there long, and because I knew I was meant for something more. I mean, come on, I had just graduated from college. Like, wasn't that worth something? Well, in my head, no. I was lost. I was stuck. I was living paycheck to paycheck. I was feeling extremely bad for myself because I didn't have that nice fancy corporate job like some of my college friends did. And sadly, I stayed in that collections job for 3 years. Yes, 3 years of my life. And then I finally got the courage. Well, actually, to be correct, my now husband, then boyfriend, got sick of letting imposter syndrome and resentment and frustration stop me from applying for better jobs, and he started to help and apply for jobs for me. Well, through that help, I landed my first salaried position, which also was the first taste of the world of recruitment, which is really cool. But I was making a whopping $45,000. And I wish I could tell you that from there I learned how to advocate for myself and negotiate, because I was hiring people left and right and they were negotiating their salaries. But that is just a big fat lie. And sadly, I stayed at that 45K mark for about 5 years. No salary increases in that time. I did switch jobs, but I wasn't able to make any more money. And I was, if you can imagine, just super frustrated. And I found myself pregnant with my son and just beyond stressed. I mean, I had student loan debt. I was frustrated. I was already living paycheck to paycheck. And I started to just ask myself, like, why me? Why am I not able to break through this 45K salary? Like, what am I doing wrong? When is it going to be my turn? Enter woe is me mentality. And I just clinged to that mindset of, oh, I just need to make $60,000. That would be enough. Now, if you're asking yourself, where did this magical number of $60,000 come from? It just came from thin air. Like, I don't know if you can relate to that, but I just remember in my teen years and like early 20s being like, oh, I only make $12 an hour. If I could just make $15 an hour, that was like $18 an hour and $20 an hour. And then went to like 45 grand. And then I was like, if I could just make 60 grand. And then when I had 60 grand, I was like, I need to make at least 75. And a lot of it was just like thin air, because obviously I needed more money, and it was more than I was making at the time. And it was also like that 60K. That was what my friends and my colleagues, like from college and like from other jobs, that's what they were getting offered. And because I didn't know then what I know now, it's just because you need to make more and just because you work hard and just because you have the degree, it doesn't mean that the money just comes. Like, that is a myth. Your boss Yes, they see you starting early, working late, busting your ass, but that doesn't equate to, oh, hey, I see you're working so hard. Let me just give you more money. Like that is a myth. So, the turning point came to me actually in the couple years that followed, mainly because I got more adamant about needing more money, more vocal, and I started to look around me and really think like, okay, how did that person get there? And how did that person get there? And I started talking to my coworkers and my friends about salaries and what they were making and what they were doing. And the results were astonishing. Like, I found out that the guy that was hired just a couple months after me with the same exact job was making $5,000 more than I was. And when I accepted the offer for that position, they had told me that there was no room for negotiation. Like, I tried to negotiate and they were like, no, this is the budget. We don't have any more. So I was like, well, then how is this guy making more money than me? Well, my friends, that is when everything changed for me. That was when I was done. I was over it. I was like, what I'm doing is not working. And there obviously is more to this because this is absolutely really, really ridiculous. So I did what I could. I did what I could to learn how to ask and when to ask and different ways to ask. I started testing things. I started experimenting things. I started putting myself out there and being open to feedback. And, the turning point for me was realizing that I was not the only person that had this problem. Which obviously, right, like they don't teach this in school. They don't encourage us to go out and demand what we're worth, right? Like they actually do the opposite with telling us that we should be grateful for what we have and that we're asking for more money, and that's like not tactful and it's, bad, right? So I realized that so many talented people don't know how to advocate for themselves in salary negotiations. And how did I know that? Well, I mean, I'm a recruiter. I talk to people and extend offers all of the time. And I can tell you that throughout just seeing myself and how I had to learn the tips and tricks and best practices and like what really matters, right? Like what does finance need to hear? What does your manager need to see and hear? And how can you get people to buy in to your career? Right? Because no one is going to care about how much money you make or what your job is or what your job title is. Like, no one's going to care about your career more than you do. Like, honestly, no one's even thinking about it. It's actually kind of crazy the amount of times that I have seen offers get extended to people with the same exact job and they have different salaries. And sometimes it's not even because they negotiated or they didn't. It really kind of just depends on a lot of factors, right? So that's another talk for another day. But that is the reason why I'm so passionate about this topic, is that so many people don't know how to advocate for themselves in salary negotiations and are sitting there absolutely frustrated, absolutely resentful, living paycheck to paycheck, while the person next to them has a completely different experience. So in this series, we're going to dive deep into what I like to call the salary negotiation blueprint. And the blueprint is built on three main pillars: mindset, strategy, and personal brand. And each of these plays a crucial role in how you approach negotiations and ultimately how successful you'll be. So let me give you a quick preview. The first pillar is mindset. Now, I know you're probably rolling your eyes thinking, okay, with the mindset stuff, but I'd be lying if I said that mindset wasn't the main thing holding you back from the money you deserve. So even if you turn this off right now and you don't listen to another word, remember this: it is all a matter of the mind. I'm going to share just a couple of stories about mindset and how it changed everything, and maybe this will resonate with you. But I was working at a company on a small team of 4 people. And working in HR, you have the privilege of knowing what everyone in the company makes. So we all knew, everyone on my team, I was a recruiter, we all knew what we were making. And we all had very different salaries. I mean, the discrepancy between us was like $15,000 to $30,000. Like, we all had the same job. We all had different levels of experience, or at least that's what they said that was the reason, right? Well, I grew up being told that I was too much. I was too loud. I was too opinionated. I was too outspoken. I was too smart for my own good. And while we might not think that those silly beliefs stay with us and affect us in our day to day, they 100% absolutely do. I saw clearly that I was making $15,000 more than one colleague, yet another one was making like $25,000 more than me. But I had to work on my worthiness. I had to work on my feelings. I was enraged. And one thing that I have learned and that I've experienced as a recruiter is that you might not think that anyone can tell that you're annoyed or you're bitter or you're pissed, but I will tell you that we can all tell. Like, we can all tell. Like, you can mask it intentionally if you know that you're coming across that way, but I had to work on it. Like, I was not in a good mindset with that. And one piece of context that I forgot to add was that I was also the only woman of color on my team. And the entire company wasn't very diverse. If I can recall correctly, I think about 90% of the company was white. So not only did I have to learn to be okay with being uncomfortable and dealing with the potential backlash that can happen when you quote unquote step out of line or, say something or bring attention to yourself outside of a review or performance cycle, like, oh my God, when is the right time to ask? I had to work on that. And at this time, I didn't realize that mindset was something that I needed to work on. So I made a lot of mistakes. And I had a lot of feelings that I was left to work through. But bottom line, back to my story, it was a long negotiation. I proposed a new position for myself that was in line with the company goals. I had buy-in from managers. I had all my ducks in a row. But then when they came back and they countered, it was $5,000 less than what one of the white counterparts on my team was making. And I'll be honest, I was not prepared for the feelings that came after that. But through that experience, I learned something that I will take with me for the rest of my life. And that's what I want to share, is that I am worth the discomfort. You are worth the discomfort. You are worth the conversation. And my infamous mantra rang truer than ever at this time of, if you don't ask, you don't get. So did I let go of that $5,000? No, I didn't. I went all in. I went all in. I did get the salary I wanted, but it was a battle. And I didn't know that it was going to be a battle. So, I think mindset, like looking at it now from the perspective I'm in today, yes, is it a big deal, but it didn't have to be this all-consuming, like, force that was within me and feeling like I literally was feeling like my worth was being tied to my salary and my identity. So I had a lot of mindset work to go through that. Now, another story, I had a client and like so many of us struggled with imposter syndrome, and she didn't feel like she could get a higher salary because she didn't feel like she really deserved it. Like she felt like she was making good money, and she was also happy that she had the opportunity, and she was making more money than she ever thought she would make. She was making more than her friends made. So she didn't want to rock the boat. But upon doing our research together, like, the numbers were clear. She was significantly underpaid. And we worked together on shifting her mindset, on getting her all of the tools that she needed to feel comfortable and feel prepared. And when she walked into her negotiation, she not only asked for more money, but she got it. And it was so incredible to see that transformation, because it was more about the money. It was more of her own confidence and her worthiness just shone through. And it was just like she was a different person. The next pillar is strategy. Now, it may seem like a simple strategy to negotiate your salary, but the key thing that I want to mention here is that your negotiations will go so much smoother if you have a game plan. And one powerful strategy is knowing your market value and knowing what you're worth in the market. Now, I always tell my clients to do their research. Research gives you leverage. It gives you confidence and validation that you aren't just making this shit up. And it also amplifies your impact when you go to ask for more money. And one of my clients recently followed this advice. She walked into her negotiation armed with data. She had a great presentation deck to go with it. She went through all of the facts and the supporting evidence to support her request. And this just gave her confidence to ask for what she deserved and just to know that she was so deserving of this ask. And fun fact, she got it. And then the final pillar is personal brand. Now, again, you're probably rolling your eyes. Branding is a buzzword. It gets thrown around a lot nowadays, but that doesn't mean that it's not important. And I see your personal brand as your reputation, your presence, how you are perceived in the workplace. And your personal brand can be a game changer in negotiations. Recently, I worked with a client whose strong brand made her stand out so much that she received not only a counter offer from her current employer, but she received multiple offers, each better than the last. And it was really based on the knowledge and the authority and expertise that was backed up by her personal brand. And we'll dive into how you can build and leverage your personal brand to enhance your negotiation power. Now, to get the most out of this series, I highly encourage you to engage with our lead magnet, Get Paid What You're Worth. It's an ebook that's action-packed with insights that will be your go-to resource throughout this series and beyond. I've seen people use these tools and go from feeling undervalued and frustrated and scared and terrified to negotiate to negotiating like pros. So don't miss out. Grab it, read it, share it with anyone you think could benefit. I promise you the series is going to be a game changer. I share things from a very unique perspective, and I can't wait to help you make more money. So thank you so much for tuning into this first episode of the Salary Negotiation Masterclass, Beyond the Basics. In the next episode, we're going to dive deeper into the mindset shifts that can transform how you approach negotiations. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Until then, keep believing in your worth and remember that your next negotiation could be the one that changes everything. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next one.